What does integration mean and how can we do it? In this presentation I'm going to give you a definition of integration. I'm going to talk about the need for integration, and then we'll have a look at some integrative approaches that have been developed, and more particularly at an interdisciplinary research method that can be useful for your project for this unit. So what does integration mean? Well, to integrate is to combine parts into a whole, and one of the definitions of integrated human studies that we've given is that it brings together the human and social sciences and the humanities in order to investigate complex issues. Why is integration necessary? Well, this really goes back to the fragmentation that resulted from specialization and disciplinarity, beginning really with the Enlightenment 200 years ago and the scientific revolution, which gradually led from broad areas of study such as natural history to very narrow specific disciplines like biology. And in his classic lecture in 1959, C.P. Snow talked about the lack of communication and the lack of mutual understanding between the sciences and the humanities, which resulted from this specialization and disciplinarity. And in many ways, this situation has been exacerbated by the 21st century challenges that we now face. And each of these challenges can't really be fully understood within a fragmentary approach. Rather, we do need to integrate or bring together a range of understandings in order to fully understand these problems. This diagram shows the various ways in which we can approach particular issues or problems. We can approach them from a disciplinary point of view, which means that we're just looking at the concepts and insights of one discipline. Or we can take a multidisciplinary approach. This means that we are bringing together a number of different disciplines, but we're not attempting to integrate those in any way. Interdisciplinary approaches do deliberately attempt to bring disciplines together by using the methods and concepts of one discipline with those of another discipline. But an approach that has emerged really in the last quarter of a century is the transdisciplinary approach, which really does aim to take a holistic view of the problem. The focus is on the problem itself, and we attempt to bring together all of the perspectives that might give us insights into that particular problem. Which perspectives should we try to bring together? Well, here are some of the ideas from integral studies are useful. This is Ken Wilber's four-quadrant approach, in which he identifies four different quadrants or four different areas of understanding that we can bring together in order to understand a particular problem, or even to understand something like human nature. And Wilber argues that in a lot of work that's been done on particular issues and problems, it's the right-hand side that's been emphasized. So in investigating things like global warming, there's a lot of scientific and social scientific understandings that have been developed, but what we also need to include on the left-hand side are things like the psychology and the culture that underlies these complex issues. All right, but if we're looking at a method or an approach that you can use in your own project work, then the interdisciplinary research method that's been developed is also very useful. So I'll just go through that and then we'll apply that to the project for this unit. So the beginning steps in the interdisciplinary research method are to define the problem, or in other words, state the focus question. What is it that you're interested in investigating? Identify relevant perspectives that can provide insights into that problem or issue. Gather information and in our case we're largely looking at getting information from the web. Develop a basic understanding of each relevant perspective. And this is where we need to realize that it's not possible to fully understand each of the disciplines or perspectives that we might bring to bear on the problem, but we just need to get enough of an understanding in order to appreciate the insights that they can give. And then once we've done that, we can analyze the problem from each perspective and evaluate each insight into it. And this is these are the steps that we recommend that you follow in your project. The final steps in interdisciplinary research go quite a bit further, and this is where we can start to identify conflicts between insights and their sources. So we can understand that scientific or humanities-based insights into something like global warming might actually conflict with one another in some ways, and we can create or discover common ground. And by doing this, we can integrate insights and produce an interdisciplinary understanding of the problem. Now, this is really the goal of interdisciplinary research, but we're not expecting that you'll be able to achieve this in the short space of time that you have for your project in just 10 weeks. So it's really those beginning steps that we're just suggesting that you follow. So the guidelines for the project suggest that you choose an issue, problem, challenge, or opportunity to investigate. You explore your own and other ideas about the issue by posting to the project forum. Identify relevant perspectives that can provide insights into the problem. Gather information about the problem from those perspectives by searching the internet or other sources. Create a range of artifacts. This just means notes, diagrams, etc. as part of the planning for your project, and then create the final product. So there really is a distinction here between the process part, which is where you're exploring and building up your understandings. This is a very important part of the process, and the final product, which is what you're actually producing at the end to share your insights with others. So for my project on climate change, I created this diagram. This was one of the artifacts, if you like, that I created. I used Inspiration software, but I could have just used pencil and paper and scanned that as a document. So you don't have to create diagrams like this. I could have just done this in a Word document. The actual form doesn't matter, but what I've done here is I've indicated my question that I'm interested in to explore attitudes and beliefs about climate change. I've listed the disciplines or perspectives that I think are relevant, and then I've started to think about what are both the general perspectives of each discipline, how can I understand what they basically are about, and then what insights do they give into the problem. And I've started to create my final product, which is a page in my wiki, and it simply has a front page introducing the problem, which is the fact that there are so many climate skeptics despite the consensus in the scientific community, and then I have links to further pages which give insights from particular perspectives into climate change. And the one we'll have a look at now is Seeing is Believing, Biological Limitations and Artistic Solutions. And here I've started to write about the biological insights we can get into climate change, such as the fascinating idea that as primates we're very much controlled by vision, and so we haven't evolved to respond to slow changes like climate change. And then I've also developed here a section on the role of art, which can be a way of really helping us to see the problem of climate change, if you like. So this is my final product for the project, but here are a few tips. Don't try to do too much. Communicate any problems you have. Don't worry too much about the final product. The learning is in the process. So a number of people have suggested that they might like to do their final product in the form of an essay. Others have suggested they might like to make a film. And the final product is negotiable. The main thing is to follow the interdisciplinary research method outlined here in order to learn and explore about your issue. So good luck with your project, and please get in touch if you have any questions.